Welcome to the X Room Podcast. Today I have Garrett and Jenn, and of course my co-host, Sexy Man, Beast Man, Sean Finnegan. We're so excited to be putting you on the hot seat, right?
Okay,
so the X Room is about finding your, two people, right? The business and the X Room. Where did you create that moment where it took off, right, for your business? What was that? Tell us about your journey. We're going to talk about the lows to low, the highs to high, and then maybe something special that you can leave our audience. Because they're all entrepreneurs. They need to hear nuggets of
and we go quick. We go straight to the meat.
I was going to say, how much time do we got, right?
You got 5 minutes.
I was just telling Sean. Yeah, I was going to tell Sean, when I was a kid, I went from my dad having jets and planes and dealerships and hotels and going to school in a limo to being homeless, living in a car, basically. As a kid, basically. And if it wasn't for grandparents, we would have literally been on the street. And so I know this totally different dynamic of being crazy wealthy and then instantly hyper poor, welfare poor. I always joke that if you remember the band Everclear, one of my favorite bands growing up, good old alternative in the 90s. They had that song that said, "No one knows the joy of a welfare Christmas." And so it was like, oh yeah, I totally resonate with that type of thing. But it kind of built me into a way where it's just balls to the wall, get it done, make it happen. And I had started an ice cream company after serving a 2-year mission in Mexico, and had an idea for protein ice cream and grew it from my garage to 18,000 grocery stores nationwide. We were the first to put a calorie count on the front of a package. And so it was Haagen-Dazs, #1 pint in America. Ben & Jerry's was #2, and we were #3. So that was kind of fun. Sold it, got out of Dodge, moved to Utah about 12 years ago.
Okay.
Love that.
Oh my gosh. I love this because it's contrast brings clarity.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, just that is the X, right? That is the moment when you can actually feel that contrast to give you so much clarity what you do want.
Yeah.
Because how could you possibly know where you're wanting to go if you didn't feel the opposition of it, right?
Totally. And it's, at the time I did something that I liked, and I thought I liked being an ice cream man, and Dr. Oz saying it was his favorite dessert of all time, or debt collecting Jeff Bezos once, a lot of really cool stories. But what I do now, I have a company called Kajae. I actually love with what I do, that I'll never exit it because I love it so much.
That's actually what we were just talking about with Jenn, right? It was just that concept of you have to do what lights your soul on fire.
Totally.
If you're going to live, which you have a crazy story. Yeah. We're here to live. That's amazing. So that was the lowest.
We're also in a community where everyone's exit, and we're 3 to 5 year hold, and then we're exit. And I was actually on a boat with Garrett the other day. I was I think the biggest takeaway I had is he's I helped a guy in Africa because he does international employment, right? Yeah. Services. So he helped a guy in Africa. Maybe you could tell that story.
Yeah. So we're a premium staff augmentation firm. So we take folks in 28 countries and find them. They're our employee, but they work full-time for companies here in the U.S. to save them, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we know every single member of our team. And one member of my team, he is a programmer developer from Nigeria, and he is Google architect good, $500,000 a year good type of guy. And he was living in Nigeria. His family was living 8 hours away in a small village, because there's no internet there. And he was working in Nigeria, and he'd see his family once a year. And he said every time he'd see his family, he could see that they all had all aged.
Sure.
So you look at your kids, you're like, whoa, like that. And so, we interview about 200 people, hire the top 3. He was definitely in the top 3. And we're talking to him, and I said, you've got it, man. We're ready to go. And he just tears start streaming. And you're like, what's wrong? I was like, what's the situation here? And he just says, you don't understand. I can afford Starlink. I can be home with my kids. And you're like, whoa, Americans are talking about their internet's not fast enough, or some other lame thing, they're not getting free massages on Fridays or something. And here he gets to be home with his kids because now he's got opportunity that is giving him enough to not only live but thrive with his family. And so he never had to, at that point, ever be separated from his family again. And the client here loves him to death, pretty baller of an organization. And he's pumped because he's making 5 to 10 times more than he's ever made in his entire life. He's highly qualified, and we're stoked because we get to be part of that journey basically for him.
You know, when we lean into our purpose and we go and we do the work, the doors that we open for others is mind-blowing. Like, I failed K2 on my first attempt of that climb, and I was so frustrated about it. And I had to train and go back. I buried a teammate the first year. He died in an avalanche. And when I went back, like, there was not one bone in my body that wanted to go back. And I got a phone call about 2 weeks before it was time to go back of a person I met the year before. I'm like, hey, I've been training. I just don't have the resources to climb, and it's been my dream to climb this mountain. I'm like, you know what? I need a purpose outside of myself. I'll put you on my team. I'll bring over resources. We're going to go climb this thing together. It's exactly what I needed to continue. So on July 22nd of 2022, I became the third American female to stand on top of K2. But 30 minutes later, the first Pakistani female, the first Muslim female, stood on top of K2 and waved her flag and showed the world that, hey, look what's possible for us. And that's just because I had enough courage to go back, to lean in, to follow that purpose. Because when we do that, God, universe provides, and you get to be a part of these amazing stories just like yours.
Yeah, it's just to be able to be part of that journey in a lot of people's lives and things. You know, that's tremendous. K2, that is epic.
Right?
That is epic.
So
oh my
good.
God.
Yeah, you're sitting next to a world record
I know.
holder. He's done 9 peaks.
Mention myself.
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing.
So cool.
But I love your story because it's like you don't want to exit because you want to have more of those stories. You want to bless the lives of other people by bringing commerce to their lives, right? Which is what you're doing.
I always say it's conscious capitalism where everyone wins. It's not transactional. Like I always say, Wall Street is winner, loser, and they embrace that, right? Like, how did I screw that person, you know, type of thing. And it's so sad. And it's like, our team member, our number one, they win, our client wins, we win. And it's just like, why can't, like, I would love to see, and it could start in Utah, honestly, companies that are these unicorn companies, or you name it, where they're just high 9 figures going, you know what, I'm going to put up a billboard that doesn't talk about that I'm the next unicorn, I'm going to be a unicorn, or, you know, or whatnot. And instead say, we created 62 new millionaires at our company last year, and get them to compete at that level. And what the state could do at that point would be tremendous. Like, how much money do you need to have 10 figures in the bank to feel good about yourself? Honestly, it's like, wow, I really love what, Sean Peterson did. Didn't he? He made a tremendous number of millionaires at his company, and he gave so much of it away to impact their lives generationally. I just love that.
It's actually why I do what I do. So our whole why, and with our real estate investing community, is I want to create 1,000 people this year that get into their first real estate deal. Like, that's my mission, right? It's like, no, like, I will have 1,000 people get into their first real estate deal for generational wealth.
Yes.
To change that, become that hard left turn.
Yes.
In your family. Like, that's what it's about.
It's a game changer.
Right?
It's such a game changer. I always say it's the drops in the bucket. And eventually that bucket spills over the top. And there's so much abundance at that point. And I always say you can do so well by doing good. And if more people would just be kind of focused on that, everything else happens. Especially, as you had mentioned, you put it out there into the universe, basically, and it's going to come back, basically, tenfold. And it's exciting because you get to give that much more away, and it just keeps coming back. That reciprocity almost. And so it's a good thing to be.
Well, Garrett, it's an honor. You're blessing 200 plus entrepreneurs here today at the X Room because he's buying lunch today. So we really appreciate it.
Feed them for a day.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So it's an absolute honor to have you here. And I think the greatest takeaways you've shared in this, which I think gives a lot of thought for an entrepreneur to say, hey, what kind of legacy am I leaving? What does my future look like? What am I building? How are people going to know about me in the future? And how do I want them to know about me? Like, what kind of mark do I want to leave in this life, right?
I love it. I mean, all of us have active ingredient in one way or the other, something that sparks joy in each of us. And it's just embracing, finding out what that is. And sometimes it takes us longer in life. Like, I didn't figure out what I wanted to do until I was like 41. And, I had thought ice cream was my path or something like that. And then it just, things happen for a reason. You get connected to the right people. Today, you're going to have 200 plus people here that are going to make connections that are going to change the trajectory of their lives. So it's tremendous.
So talk to the people who are watching, right? Like, if they're not here at the X Room, what are they missing?
Yeah.
Dude, they're missing. I can't even quantify that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's like there's so many different opportunities in the state of Utah from a networking standpoint. I mean, we're a social bunch, right? It's amazing, but there's nothing like X Room, and I think people need to understand that when there's an X Room, it should be a mandatory on their calendar.
Yeah, amen. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, bring us home, Layla.
Well, thank you for watching the X Room podcast. And this has been an incredible experience to be able to, hear the lowest of lows, the highest of highs, and where you're going and the impact that you're actually making. So thanks for watching. Please, obviously, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you loved this content, make sure you share it with others and put in the comments how much you are appreciative to this incredible bunch that we have today. Like, this has been so fun, right?
Thank you so much, Garrett.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.